You want to make sure that you are holding them completely stable. With their tails, they do not grow back, so if they drop it, they turn into a... Hey friends, Autumn from the Tye-Dyed Iguana, and today we are going to talk about crested geckos and how to care for them. So I got one of them right now. These guys come from New Caledonia. This is about the size that they will end up getting for you. These guys will get about 6 to 7 inches for you. Looks super cool. So if you want something that can stay in like an 18-24, like smaller cage like that, this would be the species I would go with. So these guys will end up living about 15 to 20 years. So it's a long time, but you'll have a friend for a while. So the size of enclosure that I would recommend for these guys, as a baby, I would recommend a 12-12-18. For an adult, I would do an 18-18-24. You can even go bigger, like an 18-18-36 or a 36-18-36, but that's completely up to you. But these guys would need, as an adult, the most an 18-18-24. So at the bare minimum for them would be a 10-gallon tank, but we would recommend moving to the 12-12-18 or the 18-18-24 just because these guys are arboreal species. So the bedding I would recommend for these guys would be our tropical mix. They do need a absorbent type of bedding, so we have our own here. It'd be the Tye-Dyed Iguana's brand. A lot of the stuff that I would end up putting into the enclosure is going to be branches that'll go all the way up. You're gonna want some cool like foliage. You can do live plants, fake plants, all of that. There's even some really cool vertical rock caves that hang on the side of your enclosure, and then it'll be just like a little hide for them. That's all the way up top. You'd want like a water bowl still and like repashy bowl to hold their food, just because these guys are going to need some repashy or Pangea every single day as well. So for these guys with their lighting, they do not require UVB, but it is always beneficial to them. Their temperature is going to be anywhere between like upper 70s to low 80s. Anything over 85 is going to stress these little guys out, and then in the end, if they sit at a period over 85 for too long, they will end up passing away. Nighttime temps, they can drop all the way down to like your low 70s, and then that would be perfectly fine for them. So there is certain lighting that you can use. If you wanted to just put on some natural light that goes in there, you can use like a tropical UVB bulb, one of our LED Repti suns, different things like that. But you want to make sure whatever light bulb that you're putting on their enclosure, it doesn't produce heat. These guys are usually good at room temperature, so you wouldn't want to have any light put on there that produces heat. All right, so for these guys, they do require 50 to 70% humidity. So with that, I would spray the tank down in the morning and at night just to help bump it up. So since these guys are a tropical species, keeping the higher humidity levels in there is going to help out with like shedding and just overall health for these guys. And they do like to drink off the glass. So for these guys with their watering, they are gonna end up drinking like off their glass, off the plants, decorations, things like that. But you still wanna provide a water dish in there for them. That way if they wanted to drink, they would be able to. And then, and then you can end up doing one that is arboreal that'll stick to the side of the glass, or you can do one that sits down in the substrate for them. They're not really too picky about that. They definitely don't need a huge one. And then for their feeding, what you're gonna wanna do is always provide the repashy or the Pangea, just kind of depending on what one you like or that they like. So with the repashy, the reason why these guys need it is because out in the wild, they eat fermented fruit, different things like that. So that is what the repashy is basically going to be, mixing it up with a little bit of water. And then you're gonna wanna feed babies crickets every single day. And then you're going to want to feed adults crickets as well, but it's going to be less frequent, maybe about 2 to 3 times a week. So with these guys, some different insects that they can eat. So they can eat your crickets, which is a pretty basic one for them. You can also feed dubia roaches, hornworms, and like mealworms for them as well. And you can do waxworms, but not all the time, just because it's a big old fat treat. And then you're going to also want to dust their feeding with the calcium 7 days a week, so every single day. And then with the multivitamin, you're gonna wanna add that once a week. All right, and so for like your daily care that you would need to do is spray the tank down first thing in the morning, and then at the end of the night, I would do it as well. change their water bowl, change the repashy if they're needing to have the repashy changed. It's not always a requirement just because you can usually get about 3 days out of the repashy. And then you're gonna wanna clean up the poop, feed them their insects, make sure that you're dusting with your calcium or multivitamin depending on your days. And yeah, just feed them. Quick thing about handling with these guys, you wanna make sure that you're not pulling on their tails. If they're being super jumpy, things like that, you wanna make sure that you are holding them completely stable. With their tails, they do not grow back, so if they drop it, they turn into a frog butt. So if these guys end up getting super stressed out, they can end up dropping their tail as well. All right, guys, and then that would be how we take care of crested geckos. If you do have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and come on into the store, give us a call, or message us on our Facebook. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.